All right, HTG crew. It's FedEx Cup playoffs time already. Holy shit, where did golf season go? It's been a hell of a fucking golf season. I mean, FedEx Cup playoffs aren't the most exciting playoff season of any sport, but I still am glad that the PGA Tour added some sort of playoff format, right, about a decade ago, because it really was missing from golf. At least we get some closure to the season heading into the FedEx Cup playoffs, and these events are, I mean, historically, they've been some really competitive events, so really excited to get into it. The final event ahead of the FedEx Cup playoffs was almost huge for us on Draftkings. HTG crew, if you followed our player pool, man, you banked out a lot, and I'm sure you're frustrated with the same player I am. He was my winner last week. Young Mito Pereira, man, what a struggle it was for him. Had my, high stakes lineups get 5 of 6 golfers through the cut. You guessed it, Mito was the guy that let me down. Also a little let down by Henley's lackluster finish both on Saturday and Sunday. Really was in the driver's seat to win that event, but it was Kevin Kisner who came through. 15 under got you into a 6-man playoff, which is awesome to see on tour. I mentioned at the Olympics, it was great seeing that bronze medal playoff. That was a 7-for-1. And I said we don't really see that much on the PGA Tour, but we had a 6-for-1 playoff for the win here, and Kiz able to get it done. A golf course where there's target golf. If Kisner hits his ceiling, he's always going to be live at one of those places. Always a guy you can play when you don't have to be super long off the tee. So love to see a guy like Kisner win, a guy who's super charismatic, super active on social media. I think it's really good for the PGA Tour when guys like Kisner succeed. So good to see Kevin Kisner back on top and hoisting another trophy, a guy who just, man, he can win on tour when you get to these target golf courses. As far as the WYNDHAM goes, that's really all I care about recapping. Again, it was a great week for us here at HTG Pod. If only Mito could have made the cut, it would have been even bigger. But I'm really ready to get into the FedEx Cup playoffs. We have a small field this week, so we'll be pretty short on the video. So let me go ahead and get this slightly smaller joint spark today. I'm smoking Charge. The grower is Cannadescent. It is a Sativa testing at 30.74% THC. Another reason why it's a bit smaller. It's packing more of a punch today. So we're going to go ahead and get this sparked up. And then we're going to start talking 2021 Northern Trust. The FedEx Cup playoffs are here, folks. All right. Okay. The 2021 Northern Trust. We are back at Liberty National Golf Course this year in Jersey City, New Jersey. Last year, the event was played at TPC Boston, where Dustin Johnson absolutely dominated, shooting 30 under and winning the event by 11 strokes. So, yeah, if you guys remember that performance by DJ last year, I mean, insane performance, most dominant performance of the year, likely, other than maybe Bryson at Winged Foot. But Liberty National going to play at a par 71, 7,410 yards. We are on bent greens. So not a super long golf course, but not a short golf course either. The last time we saw this golf course was in 2019 at the Northern Trust. Patrick Reed won that event at 16 under. It's the first event of the FedEx Cup playoffs, as I've mentioned multiple times already. So we have a 125-player field, 125 players making the FedEx Cup playoffs for this first event. Cut rules will be the same as we're used to for this week. Top 65 and ties. And looking through previous data from 2019, last time we were at Liberty National, strokes gained tee to green correlates extremely highly to success on this golf course, at least in the 2019 edition of this event. So I'm going to go ahead and carry that over into the 2021 version. I don't see any reason not to, especially with how this golf course lays out. Ball striking going to be a bit more important than around the green play, but in its totality, tee to green is super important. And tee to green, for those of you that don't know, a combination of the strokes gained ball striking and strokes gained around the green statistics. So it's just taking strokes gained off the tee, strokes gained on approach, and strokes gained around the green, and accumulating those statistics. So tee to green play going to be absolutely enormous this week, and you'll see that reflected in our model. Weather is going to be in the mid to high 80s. Forecast calls for rain every day but Friday again this week, similar to last week. So again, tee time stacking, certainly viable. I don't think it really paid off last week, but you never know. Maybe one of these waves catches a huge advantage, and if you stack both directions, then you can find yourself with a huge advantage over the field in these DraftKings tournaments. And I let the joint go out. Let me re-spark real quick before giving you what's in our statistical model this week. So the model this week's about as simple as it's ever going to be. I mentioned tee to green being a huge corollary to success here. Strokes gained ball striking and strokes gained around the green are going to lead our model. That is, in its combination, strokes gained tee to green. And then we sprinkled in some strokes gained putting at the back end of that. So weighted it more heavily to strokes gained ball striking. Certainly included strokes gained around the green and sprinkled in that strokes gained putting. Our winner this week is in the top shelf plays. He is one of our top shelf plays this week. So in the YouTube comments, drop who you think is our winner of the 2021 Northern Trust here in the top shelf. And also let us know who you think is going to win the event. Withdrawals this week. We have no withdrawals. So all 125 players that qualified are going to be in this field. And with that, we can get into the top shelf plays. Top shelf plays are $10,000 or more in DraftKings pricing. The first top shelf play, he is the number one player in the world. It's Jon Rahm, $11,500 price tag, 17.9% projected ownership. The most expensive player in the field, and it's justified. Coming in the custom model, second, 25th in strokes gained putting, 11th in ball striking, and 22nd around the green over his last 12 measured rounds. I mean, Rahm is just an absolute stud. No reason you can't look to him in this spot. In 2019, came tied for third last time we were at Liberty National. Everything checks out. The only thing you're going to have to do is try to find a way to fit that $11,500 salary he's packing into your lineups. But we have some guys down there in the SCHWAG bag that we think we can reasonably go to allow us to fit a guy like Rahm here up top. So do really like Jon Rahm. Lots of win equity with him every time he tees it up. And the stat model loves him on top of that. And he has the course history. So really checking all the boxes for Rahm this week. Do really like him. And he's not my winner for the event, but he is a guy who, even at the low odds, I mean, just looks in a 125 player field, looks like a pretty solid bet in the betting market as well. So Jon Rahm, certainly a guy you can look to here at the top of the pricing and the top shelf. The second top shelf play, this guy's been absolutely on fire as well this season. Collin Morikawa, $10,400 price tag, 20% projected ownership, so even more projected ownership than Rahm, but makes sense because Morikawa's coming at an $1,100 discount, which allows you to just fit a lot more quality golfers into your lineup behind Morikawa, as can be expected when you're saving $1,100. But Morikawa coming in first in the custom model, 49th with the putter, but second in ball striking and 23rd around the green. I mean, we know what this kid can do with his irons. He seemingly should be a great fit for this golf course. He did play the event in 2019, made the cut, came tied 52nd. I mean, Morikawa certainly has grown as a player since 2019, so very excited to see what he can do around this golf course, and he is my winner for the event. I mean, coming in first in the custom stat model, the recent form has been outstanding. The season he's had has been outstanding, and this golf course seems like a good fit. Really expect him to improve greatly upon that T52 finish in his first try here in 2019. So Collin Morikawa, my winner for the 2021 Northern Trust. Let those irons stay nuclear, red hot, probably the best iron player in this field and certainly can lead this field in strokes gained approach. And if the putter in the short game is just above average, then I really like his chances at winning this week. And my third and final top shelf play this week for you HTG crew, one Mr. Rory McIlroy. I can't get away from him, just can't escape this guy. $10,000 flat is such a fair price tag, 17.6% projected ownership, and the ball striking for Rory's been insane lately. He's first in this field in strokes gained ball striking over the last 12 measured rounds, coming in 13th overall in the custom model, 91st with the putter and 79th around the green, so you're going to need Rory to show up at the short game, but I mean, Rory, a guy that has a solid short game when, all things considered, like if the short game's in decent form, he can certainly gain against a field with his short game. And to have the ball striking in form is really what you want to see when you're rostering Rory anyway. And again, he leads this field in strokes gained ball striking over the last 12 measured rounds. At a $10,000 flat price tag without crazy ownership at 17.6%, going to Rory just makes too much sense here. And it allows you to build such a strong lineup below Rory, taking him at just $10,000 flat. He almost snuck here into the mid shelf, which would have been pretty crazy. And something to mention about that mid shelf before we get into it, a couple guys who I'm leaving off my list this week, but I could certainly see justification for going to these guys. Justin Thomas and Bryson DeChambeau both find themselves in the mid shelf at $9,800 and $9,600 respectively, not drawing a ton of ownership either at 9% and 12.5% respectively. Their recent form just has not been nearly as good as the players priced around them, who are also, as talented as they are, or at least nearly as talented as they are, right? At a tier near those players at the very least. So I can understand why they're not drawing the ownership, but just know that you're getting a crazy price discount on a guy like JT and Bryson at $9,800 and $9,600. Their ownership's in check. So if you want to roll the dice on guys like that who maybe don't have the best recent form, I have no problem with that. But I will not be playing them. I will go to see some other players in the mid-shelf. Mid-shelf plays are $7,500 or more in DraftKings pricing. Of course, they are also under $10,000. Otherwise, they would be in the top shelf. But you guys figured that out already, I'm sure. So before we get into our mid-shelf plays, let me re-spark, and then I'll start off our mid-shelf. The first mid-shelf play. Been playing great golf here lately. Mr. Abraham Answer down at $9,400, 14.2% projected ownership. Answer coming in 9th in the custom model, 20th with the putter, 8th in ball striking, and 62nd around the green. Just getting a great ball striker here. The ball striking recently has been phenomenal. Answer should be a good fit for this golf course, given that we're looking at tee to green numbers, which, I mean, Answer just absolutely crushes tee to green and came solo second here in 2019. I believe that was the performance where he gained some absurd amount of strokes on approach. I'm not even sure how he didn't win that event. Over Reed. Let's see, in the Northern Trust, let's see. Answer gained 13.7 strokes tee to green, gained 4.3 strokes on approach, 6 strokes off the tee, and 3.5 strokes around the green. Good fit for this golf course as he showed us in 2019. Tons of upside. Been playing great golf lately. No reason not to like Abraham Answer at that $9,400 price tag. 14.2% projected ownership. Guy who did not play this event in 2019 because 2019 was just a rough year for him, getting over the wrist injury. It's Daniel Berger, $9,100 price tags, just underpriced. 19% projected ownership, so the field understands that he's underpriced. Berger just seems like a good fit for this course, even though he didn't play here in 2019. Coming in 3rd overall in the custom model, 45th with the putter, 4th in ball striking, and 48th around the green. Berger, sort of a jack-of-all-trades guy, as I usually mention when I mention him as a play, which is pretty often. I'm a big Daniel Berger fan, and I think his talent is too good for this price tag, as well as the player price right above him, Patrick Cantlay at $9,200. I would rather go to Berger, but both these players underpriced for their talent. Berger is my guy, though, especially with where the ball striking's been here recently, and I do think he presents upside on those numbers with the putter and around the green, 45th and 48th, respectively, in this field over the last 12 measured rounds. At his baseline, Berger a better player around the greens and on the greens than that. So I do really like Berger this week at that $9,100 price tag. A guy who I am going to have to squeeze in to get some shares of, because I would have gone really with basically Answer and Berger down here in this low $9,000 range and just said forget it. I'll have to split some of those shares and just get a touch of Hideki Matsuyama at $9,000 flat. Just the ownership's 11.4%, which is lower than I would have expected for Hideki, who's been playing great golf here lately and over the summer. Coming in 12th in the custom model, 3rd in ball striking, 56th around the green, and 122nd with the putter. So obviously that's what's been holding Hideki back. That's likely why people aren't looking to Hideki this week with other great options around him. But if Hideki can just be neutral with the putter, then, we know what this guy can do with his irons. We know what he is as a ball striker and a tee to green player. Hideki has a phenomenal around the green game. So 56th over his last 12 measured rounds certainly presents upside there. I like Hideki, particularly at this low projected ownership. The next mid-shelf play, Harris English at an $8,800 price tag. Coming in fourth in the custom model, fourth with the putter, 20th in ball striking, and fifth around the green. I mean, sign me up, right, already. Couple that with only 13.6% projected ownership, I'm definitely in. Did not play at Liberty National in 2019, so no real course history to go off of, but English been striking the ball well lately. The model loves him. The ownership's not there, so I will be there with Harris English, $8,800 price tag, 13.6% projected ownership. The ownership is flooding in on Paul Casey at $8,700, 20% projected ownership, but I can see why. Coming in fifth in the custom model, 53rd with the putter, sure, but 16th in ball striking and 6th around the green. Casey, a guy who we can expect to compete here, did not play here in 2019, but a target golf course, it screams Paul Casey. Paul Casey, a guy who also plays well in the FedEx Cup playoffs, so Paul Casey, I don't love the ownership at 20%, but if you need a safer play and maybe you've already gone with some lower owned plays elsewhere in your lineup and you need a safer play to fit in there with them, I do like Casey here. $8,700 is not too difficult to fit into your lineups. 20% projected ownership. Again, not my favorite, but if you differentiate elsewhere, you can live with it. Now I'm going to drop down big time. I am skipping this whole range from Reed all the way down into really like the mid 7Ks. Really no names that I love other than maybe you can look at Terrell Hatton at a $7,800 price tag. The short game, or at least the putter, has been absolutely awful, but the irons are starting to turn around to be what we expect from Terrell Hatton. So at $7,800, you could look to Hatton, but I would rather just drop down even lower to my next mid-shelf play, who is Russell Henley. Again, fell apart at the end of last week, but $7,600 price tag, 6.4% projected ownership, coming in 8th in the custom model, 13th in ball striking, 39th with the putter, 33rd around the green, doing everything above average in this field, and is particularly good with the ball striking, which again is what we want to see. Tee to green statistics are going to be huge this week. Any large portion of that is strokes gained ball striking, so I don't understand the lack of ownership here on Henley at 6.4%. Maybe people feel a little, burned. He was high owned last week, and he sort of faltered down the stretch, so maybe there's a bit of recency bias there, but I do like Henley this week a lot at that price tag and ownership. And I also like pairing him with another player at the same price, Sergio Garcia, also at $7,600, 5.6% projected ownership, even lower than Henley. And I mean, there is one concern with Garcia, 119th in this field over the last 12 measured rounds in strokes gained putting, but he's 6th in ball striking and 20th around the green, coming in 7th overall in our custom model. Another player, these two players at $7,600, I will be jamming into lineups. That is just under-owned. Sergio Garcia and Russell Henley, I love both as plays. And they just allow so much salary savings to go up to the top and get your, Morikawas, McIlroys, maybe even Rahms of the world, and still have plenty of money to get quality golfers in your other spots. So $7,600, Sergio Garcia, Russell Henley, I love them, HTG crew. And that actually rounds out the mid-shelf plays, which will bring us to everyone's favorite part of the show, the swag bag plays, where we get to throw some darts at some of these bums who are actually not, they're going to become less and less of bums as we, make our way through the FedEx Cup playoffs and dwindle down these fields to the best golfers in the world. We have, the top 125 in FedEx Cup points here. So even at the very bottom of the pricing, we have players that you could consider to be viable. So pay attention to the swag bag this week and moving forward, certainly, because there's going to be players down here we have to take because they're certainly going to be getting more and more talented as the playoffs roll along. So swag bag plays are under $7,500 in DraftKings pricing. I'm going to get a drink of water, I'm going to respark, and then we'll get into those swag bag plays. The first swag bag play. At $7,200, it's Brandon Grace. 9.4% projected ownership, so some of the ownership's going there already, but coming in 6th in our custom model, 7th in putting, 22nd in ball striking, and 3rd around the green. I mean, yeah, based on what we're looking at this week and what we think will translate to success around this golf course, Brandon Grace certainly looking good for a $7,200 price tag. Came tied for 30th here when he played the event in 2019, so course history is at least decent. Yeah, for $7,200, I will gladly roll the dice on Brandon Grace. 9.4% projected ownership in the single digits. Nothing to be concerned about. At $7,100, a guy we've been mentioning a lot lately because the ball striking's been so good. It's Jonathan Vegas. Johnny Vegas coming in at 13.5% projected ownership. I mean, the ball striking just has continued to be good. He's 10th overall in the custom model, 16th with the putter, 12th in ball striking, 49th around the green. Nothing really not to like here. You're paying up in ownership a little bit, but really, he's still a similar ownership to the guys he's priced around and Brandon Grace. And if you go $100 below him, I also like Seamus Power. But still, these guys are getting similar ownership, so no reason to move away from Johnny Vegas if you like him as a play this week. Vegas came T38 here in 2019, so also decent course history here, at least made the cut. Seamus Power, I mentioned, at $7,000 flat. 12.4% projected ownership, so just a bit of an ownership discount on Jonathan Vegas. Power did not play this event in 2019, so we don't have that course history to go off of, but Power was a guy that we played quite a bit of last week. He was kind of lackluster, wasn't as good on approach as he has been recently, but we can probably excuse that given how good he's been really over his last 5 events. Power coming in 14th in the custom model, 59th with the putter, 21st in ball striking, and 16th around the green. Yeah, that's a guy who I'm willing to roster at a $7,000 price tag. 12.4% projected ownership, similarly to Vegas. It's just really not too much higher than the ownership projections on the guys around him in this range, like Vegas and Grace, so not too concerned with that. I do like Seamus Power at this price tag and ownership. A guy who found himself in the playoff last week, that 6-man playoff, trying to vie for the win. Roger Sloan is at a $6,800 price tag, 7.6% projected ownership. And the ball striking's been great for Sloan as well. Coming in 50th with the putter, but 5th in strokes gained ball striking, 69th, very nice, in strokes gained around the green, so going to have to be carried by his ball striking, but at a $6,800 price tag, that's the part of the game that I would like to take a bet on. And I'll see maybe if the short game for Sloan can turn around and maybe be neutral to this field. But the ball striking certainly warrants a $6,800 price tag and presents a lot of upside, as we saw. I mean, the guy found himself in a playoff last week trying to get a W, so Roger Sloan looking good at $6,800 and 7.6% projected ownership. A golf course that isn't going to be extremely long. It's, again, I mentioned Target Golf or a second shot golf course. So we can maybe try some Kyle Stanley at a $6,400 price tag. I don't love it because the putter has been just so atrocious with Stanley. But only 8.5% projected ownership, coming in 25th overall in the custom model, 123rd with the putter, but 18th in ball striking, 59th around the green. I mean, getting a ball striker this good at this low of a salary, it just allows you to do so much more with the rest of your lineup. Absolutely, you're going to have to pray that Stanley doesn't just fall apart on these greens as he's done, I mean, week in and week out here recently. But if he can find a way to do something with the putter, do really like Kyle Stanley at $6,400. And I do have one bomb here at min price for you guys if you really need some salary savings. If you're really trying to jam in Rahm, maybe jam in a Rahm McIlroy build or something like that, you're going to need to save some money. And at the flat min, I think it's reasonable that you can look to Sam Ryder. $6,000 flat again at the flat min, 4% projected ownership. Ryder coming in the custom model 15th, 29th with the putter, 14th in ball striking, and 72nd around the green. I mean, to get a guy who's been ball striking that well at the flat minimum is pretty crazy. Now, am I in love with Sam Ryder? No, but it's one of those things from like a roster construction, roster flexibility standpoint that if you can get someone at the flat min that's even remotely viable, it just allows the rest of your build to be so different and also very high upside. So if Sam Ryder can, make a cut and make some birdies this week, he could certainly pay off. He did miss the cut here in 2019. So again, I'm not super confident in Ryder, but if you find yourself needing someone at the flat min, Sam Ryder is your guy, 4% projected ownership. And that does it for this episode of the HTG podcast, guys. That's 2021 Northern Trust. It is the PGA Tour playoffs, the FedEx Cup playoffs. Love that we're here. I mean, my favorite event's coming up soon, the BMW. I have not won more money in any event than that one, so you'll certainly want to pay attention to my picks for that one. Love the HTG crew. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't. Make sure you download our podcast on Spotify or Apple Music, wherever you may listen to them. You already know what it is. It's nothing but love for you guys. HTG crew, let's go get that money. Peace.